Hello and welcome to the third video in the expanding brackets playlist, and in this video we're going to look at how to expand double brackets. So I've got three examples that I'm going to go through first, and then I'm going to give you some questions to give you some practice on how to do this. Now when we're multiplying out brackets, we need to make sure we multiply everything in the first bracket by everything in the second bracket. And there's a few ways you could do this. You might have learnt different methods at school. One of the ways is called the FOIL method. Let me just write this down, the FOIL method. So the F stands for first, so that just means multiplying the first terms in each bracket, so y times y. And then we multiply out the outside terms, so y times 5. And then we would multiply the inside terms, that would be 3 times y. And finally, we would multiply the last terms in each bracket, which would be 3 times 5. Now, I just want to stress that the order does not matter. The only reason it's done like this is because FOIL is a nice, easy word to remember. We could change the first and the outside around, and then it would be OFIL, and it would be you'd get exactly the same answer, but it's not as easy to remember as FOIL. Okay, so this is one way of doing it. Now, there is one main reason why I don't like this method, is because it only works if you've got two terms in each bracket. Now, if you're asked to multiply out something like this, which is something you'll hopefully come across as you develop your study in mathematics, then this FOIL method is not going to work. So notice the first bracket, that's fine. We've got two terms there, so it's just exactly the same as these ones. But notice the second bracket, we've got 3 terms. Now this FOIL method doesn't account for this middle term. We've got our first and our last terms, but notice there's nothing about the middle term. So you might miss off some really key multiplications that you do need to do. So because you can't apply this FOIL method to every occasion, I don't like using it because of that reason. So what we're going to go through in this video is going to be something called the grid method. And it's called the grid method because it looks like a grid, or you could think about it as a window. And notice we've got 4 sections, and those 4 sections correspond to the 4 multiplications that we're going to do. So on the top of my grid, I'm going to put the first bracket. So we're going to put y and then plus 3. I always like to include the sign in front as well. And then down the side, we're going to put our second bracket. So we've got y and then plus 5. And again, just to stress, the order does not matter. So I could put y plus 5 at the top and y plus 3 down the side, but I've just done it like this. Now, we're going to multiply everything in this bracket by everything in this bracket. So I'm going to do y times y first. Well, that will give me y squared. Y times 3 is 3y. Y times 5 is 5y, and 3 times 5 is 15. So I've done my 4 multiplications. I haven't missed anything off, and it's quite clear to see that I haven't missed anything off because my grid is complete. So now I've multiplied out all of my brackets, I can just take all of the terms and write them as an expression. So I'm going to start with our y squared. So we've got y squared. Now I could write plus 3y plus 5y. But these two terms are like terms, so we can just simplify that. So our 3y and our 5y just simplify to 8y. We can write plus 8y. And then finally, we've got plus 15. So this here will be my final answer. So I've expanded my brackets and I've simplified my answer. Okay, let's move on to question number 2. So again, let's draw out the grid. And again, you don't need to use a ruler. It doesn't need to be that neat. So just a grid like this. So along the top, I'm going to write 5y minus 1. And then down the side, I'm going to write y minus 2. So first of all, let's multiply out the 5y and the y. That will give me 5y squared. Negative 1 times y, that's negative y. 5y times negative 2 is negative 10y. And finally, negative 1 times negative 2, just be really careful because we've got 2 negatives we're multiplying together. That will give me positive 2. Okay, now just like before, we can simplify. So we've got 2 terms that involve a y. So we've got negative 10y and negative y. That will become negative 11y. So our final answer is going to be 5y squared. And then these two simplify to negative 11y. And then at the end, we've just got plus 2. So this will be our answer. Okay, the last example I'm going to go through. So again, let's draw out our grid. It only takes a few seconds. So along the top, we've got 3 and then plus g. And I could write plus 3 just to keep include the signs. And then we've got positive 5, so 5 minus g down the side. So 5 times 3, that will give us 15. 5 times g will be 5g. 3 times negative g will be negative 3g. And negative g times positive g, well, that will be negative g squared. And notice again, exactly the same as before, we have like terms. We've got two g terms which we can simplify. And again, notice it's always the diagonals. So it seems that the diagonals always have like terms. Okay, let's write out our final answer. So we've got 15. And then 5g minus 3g is positive 2g. And then we've got minus g squared. So that will be our final answer. And just to make a note is that the order of this again doesn't matter. So I could put minus g squared plus 2g plus 15. That would be exactly the same. Okay, it's over to you now. I've given you 6 questions. And for each question, I'd like you to expand the brackets and simplify your answer. Okay, I'm assuming you've paused the video and had a go. So let's go through question 1. We've got w plus 4 and we're going to multiply it by w plus 2. So let's start with the top left. W times w is w squared. And then we're going to have plus 4w. And then we're going to have plus 2w. And finally, 2 times 4 is 8. So our final answer, let's just do this in purple. We've got w squared. And then these two terms, 2w plus 4w, that's going to give us 6w plus 6w. And then we've got plus 8. Okay, question 2. We're going to do x plus 1. And then we're going to do x minus 3. So x times x is x squared. X times 1 is just x. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. And negative 3 times positive 1 is negative 3. So our final answer is going to be x squared. And then again, we're going to simplify. So we've got negative 3x plus x. That's going to be negative 2x. And then we've got negative 3. Okay, question 3. Now this time, just to show you it doesn't matter, let's do the t minus 7 first. So t minus 7 at the top. And t minus 8 down the side. T times t is t squared. T times negative 7 is negative 7t. T times negative 8 is negative 8t. And then negative 8 times negative 7 is positive 56. So we've got t squared. And then these two terms will simplify to negative 15t. And then we've got plus 56. Okay, hopefully you're getting on well so far. So question number 4, we've got 6 minus x, and then we've got x minus 4. 6 times x is 6x. X times negative x is negative x squared. 6 times negative 4 is negative 24. And negative 4 times negative x is positive x. Oh, sorry, not positive x to the 4th. It's positive 4x. Okay, let's write down our answer now. So we've got 6x. Oh, and notice this time, these two terms are like terms. Okay, so previously it's been kind of the positive diagonal, but this time it's the negative diagonal where there are like terms. So 6x plus 4x is 10x. So we've got 10x and then minus x squared minus 24. So this is our answer. And again, if you did put the negative x squared at the beginning, that's also fine. The order doesn't matter. I've said that a few times now. As long as you've got these three terms, then you have the correct answer. Okay, question 5. We've got 3b plus 4, and we've got 2b minus 9. So 2b times 3b is 6b squared. 2b times 4 is 8b. 3b times negative 9 is negative 27b. And negative 9 times 4 is negative 36. So again, it looks like we have the positive diagonal where there are like terms. So we can simplify these two terms. So we're going to have 6b squared. And then negative 27b plus 8b is negative 19b. And then minus 36. So this is our final answer. Okay, last but not least, we have this. Now, this might look a bit weird, but what does this mean? Well, 7 minus a squared, this means 7 minus a times 7 minus a. We're taking the 7 minus a and we're multiplying it by itself. So just to make things easier, you could write it out like this. So let's write it in our grid now. We've got 7 minus a, and then we've got another 7 minus a. So 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times negative a is negative 7a. And then we're going to have another negative 7a. And then negative a times negative a is positive a squared. So we've got these two terms. Oh, let me change it to my fuchsia colour. I don't want to mess it up right at the end there with the colours. So these two terms will simplify. So we've got 49, and then negative 7a minus another 7a is minus 14a. And then finally, we've just got plus a squared. So how did you get on with those 6 questions? Hopefully you did well. I have got some more videos on this topic, which we're going to go through in later weeks. So in the next video, we're going to take a look at expanding triple brackets. Okay, so instead of 2 sets of brackets, we're going to move on to 3 sets of brackets. However, don't worry, because this method that we've been using in this video, we can apply exactly the same method for those trickier questions. Okay, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.